look who I have here with me today.
Yeah.
Hello, Katelynn McIlwain.
Hello, Mr. Connors.
Now, Katelynn, when did you graduate from Freeport High School?
2018.
2018. My goodness. This is Pretzel Pridecast number 5 with Katelynn McIlwain, 5 with 5. And she graduated from 2018. And I am so proud to have had her in my classes, on my speech team, in shows, just basically in my life, because she is a wonderful human being. The one thing I will remember a number of things about Katelynn, more importantly, the fact that she is a state speaker, an IHSA state speaker, and her picture is on the wall for a couple of events. But I remember when we were trying to get a second event for Katelynn and for a speech thing. And I remember I basically texted you or called you or messaged you. I think I called you and I just basically said, we'd like you to do another event. And you're like, oh, that's the event I want to do. I'll be ready right after Christmas break. And then you had success, didn't you?
Yes.
You had success.
Yep. Went to state with that one.
Went to state with that one. So you know what? You are a hard worker and you do wonderful things. And Katelynn, what are you doing this summer?
This summer, I am interning with KMUW. It's an NPR station in Wichita, Kansas.
So you are an intern for National Public Radio.
Yes.
How has that been?
It has been so rewarding already. I've been able to have regular meetings with Corva Coleman, and that has just been really enlightening, just be able to take in her experience as a newscaster and also as a Black woman, and how her identity has sort of shaped the way that she's experienced this industry of public radio. And she gives me a lot of tips about, ethics and reputation and things like that, that have just been really good. I think I'm sort of having to shift out of this college mindset of I'm typically pretty open with sharing my life. You want to check in with people at home and things like that. But she's really having to teach me a lot about okay, well, there's some times where you can't look like you're endorsing certain things, or you really need to protect your privacy about where you're at, because sometimes there are people who are just really out to get public, this public radio sometimes is just not, a lot of people maybe don't like it. And, anyways, so, just having to be really intentional about protecting myself also while I'm out there. And so I think that's something I've had to learn a lot about. But, in general, it's been so fun. I love my coworkers. We all have our own little niches and interests. We'll stop everything and start talking about movies that have just come out. We have a movie commentator here, Fletcher Powell, who's awesome. I'm learning a lot about writing concisely, as that is not my strong suit. I like to be very long and flowery, and anyways, so I'm learning a lot about saying the most important things in as few words as possible and saying them in a way where everyone can understand. And so, yeah, it's been really fun. It has. And I feel like through this job, I've been able to learn about Wichita and experience Wichita as a tourist even. And so it's really rewarding in that way. I'm kind of exploring and I'm getting paid to explore this city. So I love it. It's great.
So I asked this question to everybody on the Pridecast. How did your life at Freeport High School, Freeport School District, Freeport, Illinois, how did your life here and your experiences here push you into where you are now?
one thing about Freeport that I tell everyone is that there's one public high school and we all go there, right? I mean, there's private high schools too, but at least, you know, the publicly funded ones, everyone basically, you know, and I think that it forced me when I was, you know, in high school to really interact with people from a lot of different backgrounds, because you walk into that school and everyone has a different story, and it's a really cool environment because you can easily interact with a lot of different people. And so I think that naturally made me curious about other people, which is the whole point of this job. You have to be curious in order to find the story that your listeners are curious about. And so I think that that exposure to diversity all throughout my life, within all of FSD 145, was really critical in helping me develop an awareness of what the world looks like, you know. And
Sure.
it's I'm not saying that, you know, Freeport isn't like this huge metropolis or anything like that, but
No,
I mean,
not
but
yet.
not yet.
Yes.
Yet is the important word. But it is, you do have a lot of different socioeconomic situations, all kind of converging in this one high school. And so anyways, I think that helped me to kind of just appreciate diversity and appreciate people who are different from me and things like that. And but I think also in general, I think the arts department at FHS is just killer, especially for the region that we're in. And so I think that like being able to like do band and speech and theater, like you got to really engage with your creativity while also learning how to do it well. And I think that's something from Freeport that I'll always really be grateful for, because I mean, our high school mascot's a pretzel. Like, you know, you just got to kind of own it and, you know, own all the quirky, weird, you know, things about it. But we learned how to do that well. You know, it's not like we're just weird and we suck at things. Like that just would be the worst. Like, you know, we're different and we're good at what we do. So I think that was really cool, being able to be part of teams and casts and bands that were, okay, we're Freeport, we're the Pretzels, you know, we're from this 25,000, 26,000, you know, populated town, and we have good stuff to share. So we're gonna do it.
Just remember, young lady, when someone gives you a hassle about being a pretzel, you look at them and you say, I'm crisp, I'm twisted, and I'm salty. And you know what? If that doesn't shut them up, I don't know what will, right?
What will? Yeah, so I think, yeah, Freeport helped me learn how to be unapologetically myself, because that was, you really have the opportunity to find what you like and do it and be surrounded by other people who are just as passionate.
So tell me about your first story at NPR. Were you nervous? Were you like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What you had to do, what you got to do, and from process beginning to end?
Okay, so my first big story was about, there's a rocketry team who shoots rockets, clearly, and they were going to nationals, and because they're no longer funded by the school district, they had to raise all that money by themselves to be able to go. And also rockets are not cheap, and so even you know, they needed to fundraise for equipment and whatnot. And so it was my first time going out with all the equipment. So basically what will happen is my news director will send me an email saying, okay, this is the story, why don't you, you know, figure it out, you know, and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. And so then I went out during the afternoon, and I have a recorder, a Zoom recorder, my camera, and just myself. And that was my first time actually leaving the station to go do a story. And because of COVID, have not done that in a long time, because at Mizzou, you know, they liked to just kind of keep us pretty safe and
Sure.
not send us out on assignment too much. So anyways, so basically I'll go out, I'll make a contact with the person I'm interviewing. I go out and I do pull people aside for interviews first. So important to find a super quiet area, so that way you don't have a random thing kind of getting in the way of your audio. And then after I do my interviews, I'll go in and gather some nat sounds. So I had them pull up some previous recordings of rockets shooting. They have this little device that keeps track of the distance of the rocket. And so I got some sound of that, and then I take pictures. So I got some pictures with them near the rocket, some pictures with them working on setting off a rocket. And you really have to think on your feet. Like, as soon as you see something that you think would be good sound or good visuals, you have to go grab it. Like, and you know, it, for me, it's a little bit difficult because I am a very aware of people, and I want to make sure they're comfortable, and I'm not, you know, interrupting. But some in the field, you have to be like, hey, can I have you like move over here for a second? I just want to get a picture of this. Or hey, like, for the story, like, I need some sound of this. Would you guys be able to run through? You know, like, you do have to ask. And I always try and let them know, you know, I'm trying to help the story sound as alive and as in the moment as I can. And so that's why I'm asking. So that way they don't feel like I'm just making them do random stuff.
Now, I listen
yeah.
to NPR a lot. And so when you do a story, do you have to do like a minute and a half of sounds? Because there always seems to be, throughout the story, there always seems to be some sounds. Do you have to do that, or is that a choice?
Um, I would say you have to, in terms of like, it's a good idea. Yeah, I'll just say yeah. You know,
Okay.
it's gonna make an analogy of like, you know, if you brush your teeth every day, then you also need to get sound wherever you go. Because if you're like, if we're gonna, you know, talk about like what's necessary and whatnot, because you have to be able to put your listeners where you're at, and it's way more engaging if you have some natural sound of where you're at.
I've always wanted to ask someone for years from NPR how they did that and what the process was. And now I get to ask you, and you answered it, and that makes me so happy. Because
Yes.
I'm driving up to Green Bay, or I'm driving to Chicago, and I'm listening to NPR, and I'm like, how did they get that sound? How did that happen? And it just fits so well with it. And
Yes.
what wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, let me ask you this question. You are an intern this summer for NPR, and you go to college where?
I go to Mizzou, University of Missouri.
So you are going to be a junior this year?
Senior.
So see the old mind. You see?
No, it's hard for me to believe too. Yeah.
COVID really has screwed up our thought process with years. So you're
Yeah.
going to be a senior this year. What direction do you believe you're heading?
My dream is to have my own podcast or show with NPR. I really like stories similar to the ones you'll hear on like Here and Now, This American Life, Shortwave. I want to be a reporter who centers people and tells people's stories or helps them to tell it. That's the nice thing about radio, is they can tell their own and you can hear their voice. And that's really powerful. But, you know, similar to, I would say like Kamau Bell's like United Shades of America, and the way he just, goes and just meets people and
Love
shares
that.
people. I
Love that.
kind of want to do something like that.
You would be so wonderful. So wonderful.
Well, thank you. So that's the goal. Now at Mizzou, I am a magazine writing emphasis, and so that's where I get to do a lot of creative long form writing. And I'd like to keep doing that also.
Wow.
Maybe freelance for a publication, or work at a publication like at a magazine, and then also produce audio for them. I'm still kind of figuring it out because there's just like so many things. But I am going to grad school, so I'm doing an accelerated program. So I'm going to start taking grad school courses next year, and then I'll stay an extra year at Mizzou. I'll still graduate next year with my bachelor's, but then I'll stay an extra year to get my master's. And I want to focus in on researching creative media and reviews of creative media, and how much those shape our public opinion and about different issues. So I'm really interested. There's so many things, Mr. Connors, I don't know. But that's my dream, is to just have my own NPR show and be able to talk about all things lifestyle, culture, entertainment, you name it,
And
so.
Katelynn, can I tell you this? You are 21 or 20 or 21 or 22 or whatever you are. I'm 54. And Katelynn, there's still so many things you want to do. There's still so many things. And that's what being a creative, wonderful person has in their docket. And so I can't wait. And just remember, like I tell everybody else, when you get there and you get big, you're always going to need a limo driver. And see, finally, somebody has put it out on. Yes, thank you.
I'll have you on speed dial.
Thank you. Katelynn, I could talk to you forever, as you know that. We could talk forever, but I want to ask you one more question. And it's regarding the students and the people that are going to watch this. And I know that you're going to put this out on your stuff. I'm going to put it on my stuff and whatever. What advice do you have to students, parents of students, for individuals that, they're just not sure yet. They're just not sure yet what they want to do. They want to go a direction, but they're not sure. What advice do you have to those kids? What advice do you have to those parents? What about advice do you have to people when it comes to going a direction?
Let your values and your interests shape your life and your schedule and everything that you strive for. I think that it's really critical to make sure that whatever career you strive for, you're going to be there like 9 to 5, every day. It's different depending on what your job is, but you really got to love it, or else you're just not really gonna, you can make 6 figures or whatever. Journalism does not pay a lot. So I'm not here to make money. And no one in public radio is. But, I think just, let what you're good at and what you're passionate about drive you. When I was in high school, I first really liked reading and writing, and I thought that was just a fiction thing, and then I learned about nonfiction storytelling through books like The Things They Carry that I read in Mrs. Connors' class.
That Mrs. Connors.
Yeah, I know, and things like that, and just you slowly, little by little, as you experience and do things, you learn more about where you fit into the world once you get out into it. And so yeah, I would just say, like, keep an open mind to the things that really, really make you excited, the things you can talk for hours about without ever feeling like it's a chore. Just chase after those things, learn how to get good at them. I like talking, but I still have to work on my enunciation and my and learning how to pronounce things. I love doing it, but you gotta learn how to do it well. So I would say, just even if it's after school, after work, you have an extra hour to just listen to a podcast about something you're really interested in, read a book about something you're really interested in, just really dive into it. I have books about storytelling and good ways to tell a story, and you just pick them up and you read a little bit just to figure out how to do them well. So just trust your story, trust the fact that you're gonna, as you know go towards the things that make you happy, you're gonna figure out where you fit in. So
Well, Katelynn McIlwain, Freeport Pretzel, IHSA state speaker, NPR intern, Mizzou Tiger, all around.
we don't even actually do that.
I was going to say, I've watched a lot of Mizzou Tiger basketball games. I've never seen everybody go to the camera and go,
No, we don't do that. I don't know where that came.
That's fabulous. I love that. But anyway, when you're in your meetings, if you have the opportunity to tell Ms. Coleman that your former speech teacher, coach that thinks very highly of you, would like to thank her for choosing you to be an intern at NPR, because you most definitely deserve it. Korvakovan is wonderful, and you are fabulous. And thank you so much for being, when you are a teacher at Freeport High School, and I'm sure many other teachers will say this, sometimes you feel that there is a student that teaches you more than you've ever taught them. And I will say this from the bottom of my heart, that you have taught me so much more about so many things than I could have ever taught you. And I can't wait to see your podcasts. I can't wait to read your magazine articles. And more importantly, I can't wait to be your limo driver. So, Katelynn, a big pretzel pride to you. You do good stuff, Mizzou Tiger. And we will see you soon. And hopefully we'll do another Pridecast in a few years with all of your success.
We will have to do that. Well, you'll be in my limo though, so I don't know how we'll.
Well, then our Wi-Fi will be a lot better then. Oh, I don't know. You are with NPR. Oh.
Yeah. We got the big bucks over here.
Right. That's right. Katelynn, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you. It has been so fun. I love it.
Great.